Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Cody Pettengill. He's a returning guest. He came back from our kitchen episode last year. And Cody, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's been rebranded from the kitchen to the rundown. A little more brand consistency, I guess you could say. But we're welcoming Cody back. Cody, how are you?
Yo, the rundown, let's run it. I was so honored to be not just a guest, but I was the first guest on the kitchen. I was hoping to be the first
You
guest
were?
on the rundown too, but I saw Kirk Weisler
Dude.
beat me to it.
Man, Papa Kirk, though. Papa Kirk, you see where Jake gets his good voice from because you listen to Kirk and you're like, dang, that's a bassy voice. That's a good voice.
Daddy Kirk, some call it.
Daddy Kirk, Daddy Kirk.
Jake, I'm
Yep,
sorry
we
to
did.
embarrass you in front of your dad.
Hey. No, yeah, we loved having Kirk on. Man, yeah, we should have realized that. We should have brought you back for the first guest on the rundown. I wish we would have put that on me. All right, put that on me. My fault.
That's all right. We're out
I
of the
know.
kitchen. It's a new start.
Hey, we're still gonna cook it up though. But Cody, first off, I just want to say congratulations because we were talking a little bit about this before, but we've never had such an overwhelming positive guest response. Like seriously, last year when our podcast wasn't even that big, we uploaded it to YouTube, and I think to this day it's still the most comments we've ever had on a YouTube video, and everyone's just saying, "Gosh, I love Cody." Like he's not even. There were a lot of people talking about the stuff you were teaching, but it was all just Cody's such a good dude. I met Cody at this event. He taught me XYZ, but he's also just a genuine person. They talked about you and Haley just being a great duo. And so I just want to say thank you for being just an awesome dude and a good person in this industry.
Man, the pleasure's all mine. The reason why my personality is able to shine through, beginning of March, we had my grandpa's funeral. And it was a sad time, but I was able to take the lessons that he taught me and turn them into the man that I've been able to become. He's like, the reason I'm so transparent right off the bat, I got in trouble legally in 8th grade doing some illegal stuff with some bad people. And he taught me if you feel like you have to hide anything, you probably just shouldn't be doing it. And ever since then, he also told us that we're related to Abraham Lincoln, which I don't have any proof of, but if Honest Abe has anything to say about it, transparency is a main value of mine, and I just want to be able to be open and have real relationships with people at large. And as much as you want to thank me for being myself, I'm going to do that anyways. I want to thank you for having me on. I've been able to even start my own program. A lot of people have reached out to me about learning sales after watching it with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, we're not a Joe Rogan. We don't have 10 million subs, but the level of reach that you guys have with influencing filmmakers was a game changer for me. And also, you guys are pretty cool too. So thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks, man. No, that's feelings mutual. Glad you could launch a coaching program. Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing that I'm good at was what we talked about last time, and that was sales. And
Right.
sales is a derivative of human psychology. I literally do just love people, and I love what makes people tick. And as we're growing, I'm noticing a lot of people are wanting to kind of start their own teams. Even Justin Porter recently was like, his latest program was like, oh, I hired a VA and it's changed my life because I can focus on making a film and she can do all the stuff. But don't be fooled. That guy his wife has been running his social media for a long time. He's had a team of people to show up to help him shoot the weddings. And man, us at Sublime doing 50 weddings a year in a volume, but still upscale for Midwest capacity, having reliable people who are like purpose driven and can deliver the same level of product that you promise as a salesman has been an absolute game changer. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of dialed into that at this point, at least from what I'm noticing in my demographic. So that's been really cool. Haley and I have our first and only, not only, but first child on the way, man.
Hey, let's go. Congrats.
Thank you, man. I'm going to try and be on that Papa Kirk level. But being able to have somebody who can shoot a wedding reliably and provide that same, not just footage, but experience to your clients.
Yeah.
Dude, game changer. You have no idea what it's like. I'm good at sales. and I don't even have to do anything else. I can show up and
Mm,
shoot because I love it, and I can meet people and hang out because I love it. But our team is going to handle a lot of that, and I don't know, man. It's been a really good year since we talked last.
good.
So
Good. Good. No, I actually wanted to ask you that. So, a lot of people in the industry from year to year, they're obsessed with raising their prices, right? 2024 prices. What's your 2025? What's going to be your 2026? And we get all boggled down in that. So, I wanted to ask you, since we last talked, have you raised your prices or have you expanded your work more horizontally because you've incorporated teams?
both is the answer.
Both. Okay.
Every time Haley
Great.
and I,
Win-win.
thank you. Yeah, my wife Haley runs the business with me, and do not sleep on her. I might be the face, but she is the goat. I wouldn't be able to do it
Yep.
without her. She went to school for writing. Dude,
Okay.
writing. Could you see how that's an advantage as a filmmaker? Question.
Absolutely. Well, your brand, right? You got to write your brand, your copy, your website.
And make films and write stories for our couples
Absolutely.
who are in love. Me as a salesperson, I can promise that. My wife as a storyteller can deliver that. So just there alone, the team, just having the two of us, good luck competing as a solo op. As far as increasing prices and stuff like that, yeah, we have been able to do a bump over the last year. And
Okay.
I wish that I was more greedy, to be honest with you. I watched Ty Lopez here in my garage, Knowledge, the Lamborghini guy. And
Oh
he
yeah.
made a post recently where he was like, all billionaires have some type of greedy personality. And if you're not
Yep.
greedy, you're running a charity instead of a business. And I was like,
Mm.
I'm going to be more greedy. But I don't know if I can bring myself to do that just out of sheer passion. As far as raising prices goes, when we first started out, man, because I knew sales, I talked about this last time, so some of this is repeat, but because I knew sales, we went from trying to turn our downtown tiny apartment into a photo studio, and we couldn't even sell $150 photo packages. Like, dude, are you kidding me? I was having such a hard time. And then all of a sudden, a bride called me and was like, hey, we're getting married. And our very first, like, we didn't even shoot a wedding, it wasn't even in my portfolio yet. My very first bride sold for $1,250 because I knew sales,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
because I saw that she valued it, and I was able to promise a result, and being
Yeah.
able to facilitate that value conversation was kind of where it went. And so, not to just be like, hey, I'm me, I do this, look at me. More so, like,
Right.
what's important to you? And then getting better at communicating, because chances are, if you're watching Runaway Vows, you're already at least somewhat of a decent filmmaker. Well, now you got to get better at communicating that value. People need to understand why what you do is going to fit for them, not for you, for them. And then all of a sudden it's worth twice the price, three times the price, year over
Yeah.
year, even. I might not be the best guy to talk about. I've never sold a 10K package or anything like that. Our exclusive is just over $6,000. You can add on some bells and whistles and we'll be up to that 7K mark. If you were to ask me anything, we have what I would say local domination. I get to sleep in my own bed every night at the end of a wedding because Fargo's mine. If you're watching from Fargo, I love you, but it's my client because
Okay.
we'll serve them the best.
No, I mean, yeah, I think that's awesome because you've dialed it down. And Jake and I always talk about this. Whoever sold us on the idea that in order to quote unquote like make it as a filmmaker in the wedding space, that you have to travel. I think it's personally, I think it's one of the biggest kind of lies. Our favorite weddings are the ones we film here locally. Our favorite wedding of this upcoming year, this summer, at least it's shaping up to be, is our highest booking one. It's 45 minutes away in Park City. We're going to go there. We're going to do 2 days of filming and we're going to sleep in our beds at night. And I'm like, dang, why are we sold on this idea of like, I got to travel to, Italy or New York, like wherever to be like seen as a successful filmmaker? Like, how did that start?
Well, if anything, I've actually been seeing posts where people are gonna fly to Italy, and then when they get there, they fly from, even if it is a big city, New York on the coast, it's not so far from
Hmm.
Italy. Even then, it's a 10-hour flight, 15-hour flight, 13
Right.
for us, and you still have to pack all of your equipment, find a way to get it through security, hope that the lady that's
Yeah.
rustling your equipment doesn't break one of your
Doesn't
lenses because it's your prized possession. And then when you
or
get there,
confiscate it.
or confiscate it,
Gosh.
security patting you down in all these weird spots. Not out of experience. I've never had that happen to me. But
Of course not.
then they get hit with the where's your work permit? And all of a sudden I've
Mm.
seen literally people get kicked out of filming a destination wedding when they have already gone through all of this. Whereas, dude, I'm so comfortable at the Pines. Shout out to the Pines. Nate, I'm not plugging anything except for maybe the Pines. Nicest venue, Fargo, North
The
Dakota,
Pines.
Midwest area. It's where Jaden and Adam was filmed. You said you watched that one last time.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful spot. And
Hmm.
man, when we go there, I know not only the venue managers and the people who are running the joint, but also so many of the other vendors are like our friends. So when you show up at a wedding day and you know you're going to sleep in your own bed at the end and you know you can reliably back up the footage and you're partying all day with your pals, dude, you're going to get some bangers, man. And we just do that every single weekend. And so I also tend to treat it like more of a business
Yep,
than necessarily
absolutely.
a creative endeavor. I've been listening to some of your other pods where people are sole proprietors. Dylan Simpson was on.
Yep.
I
Love
heard a
Dylan.
pang of regret in
How
his
so?
voice when he was like, honestly, like I do make it all my own, but I see where I'm held back. And for me,
Yeah.
man, I'm fast with all my shortcuts in Premiere.
Mm.
I'm fast with all, like I have macro keys dialed and programs, but I'm still a slower editor than somebody who sits down and does it for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's the
so,
thing with Dylan. Dylan loved editing, so I don't think he minded kind of being bottlenecked in that area.
no, he
But
said
I
that.
think he does see where he could scale. That's where he started talking about outsourcing and that whole dilemma. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
Well, what you were telling me, I think before we were rolling, is that one of the reasons you guys wanted me back was for my personality, and because
100%.
I'm very transparent and I say what I truly mean and think. Guess what? I've
Tell me.
been able to find people who can do that on our behalf in the field. Even the things that make you most sacred are something that somebody else can do. And don't get any ideas, but maybe do better.
Ouch.
Because of Haley's writing experience, for example, our team edits, with her direction. So now it's not just her sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours a day holding us back. And then when do we schedule meetings with 50 brides a year, all that stuff. Instead, we're able to outsource what it is that makes us who we are at our core and build a team of wholesome people who, okay, so Justin, when he posted about his VA, virtual assistant, somebody who coordinates his meetings and his bookings, dude, that's nothing on our assistant. Rose built our website, buddy. And guess what? Rose had her first kid, and we got to help pay
That's
for that. We
awesome.
gave her a maternity leave for 2 months. Like,
That's awesome.
we might not even take a 2 month maternity leave as the CEOs. But when we love our people that much, when we're that close, it's like, no, go raise Carly. Take care of your baby. And we got you. We'll handle it while you're gone. Man, good luck topping that experience. I'm not scared to outsource the things that make us us, because what's the next step that we don't even know about yet? I believe in us to figure it out.
Right. And I think what you were saying is that a lot of people, they have this idea that when they outsource something, it's instantly going to just take a load off their plate. It's going to make them more money. But what we have found, and feel free to tell me if you had the opposite effect, but when we outsource, initially it's like a big push. You hire someone and you have to spend kind of double the amount of hours you do in a day because now you're doing your work, but now you have to spend a lot of time teaching them how to do something so that ultimately they can do it as good as you or hopefully better down the road. But for a couple of weeks at least, you're training this person very intensive. And that's the goal. So I don't know if that's also your experience because you said Haley is kind of overseeing all the VA work. How is she still like super involved, or is it to a point where you said Rose can just kind of take the reins and run with it?
Well, if we were less involved, we would be okay with our level of success. We could
Hmm.
essentially outsource the company and then not do much with our lives. But I'm a
Yeah.
little more driven than that. So we take on more than we can chew and then we figure it out later. So right now, Haley is still editing our exclusives, like the tip top editing that she can pull
Okay.
off,
Yeah.
she still does. But some of our exclusives have gone to our editors and been every bit as well served. In fact, the new editors have brought new things to the team that we don't have. So sometimes it's
I
even
love it.
better to outsource it just because of somebody else's perspective once you've trained them in. If you can
Yeah.
communicate your own values, if you can communicate your own ideas and you spend that time up front to be able to do it with one person, now you can do it with 7 people. Now you
I
can do it
like it.
with a team of 7 shooters and 7 editors, and you can do 4 gallery reveals on the same day. And those gallery reveals, since I'm kind of known as the sales guy, can also be used for upsells, which is an entirely separate topic, which I'll touch on. Starbucks,
Yeah.
for
I want.
example, has an LTV. If any of the Harmozy fans in the audience, LTV lifetime value per client. Starbucks has a $40,000 LTV, and they have millions of customers, hundreds of millions of customers. In weddings, we're like, how do I get from 2,000 to 3,000? Well, 7,000. Well, what if you brought them in the door at 3K and then you were able to upsell them 1,500 more? That would raise
Mm-hmm.
your entire clientele
Mm-hmm.
base. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I mean, the sales is still number one, but even being able to outsource that, it's like, do I want to edit every single guest book that we do interviews for? Do I want to edit every single ceremony that we shoot? Maybe my time isn't best spent there. Now we can give the same experience, the same memories. You're an artist who's watching this, the filmmaker. You want to make memories and films that can also provide you a living. Is your
Mm-hmm.
time best spent chopping through an hour and a half ceremony from a Catholic ceremony? Or is it best spent introducing yourselves to more brides so that you can help more people and now give your experience to others? I don't know. It's up to you. So I answered like
And
4 different questions. Sorry.
no, no, I love it. Just more things to riff on. I was about to ask you, how are you introducing yourself to future brides? Like Jake and I, we like going to networking events because we talked about this on our previous episode. Um, we love working with planners, right? We don't really talk that much to couples. And I remember you actually had some pushback on that. And you're like, no, I love working with couples. And so your approach is a little different. How are you introducing yourself? How are you getting your foot in the door with brides and grooms? Like what do you do? Do you go to events, DMs? How does it go?
One thing that disgusts me, makes me just stomach acid in my mouth,
Yeah, let's hear it. The dry heat.
is wet, dry heave. Just, I didn't even eat lunch today. Why am I throwing up in my mouth? Is when people play the vendor popularity contest
Okay. Yeah, how so?
instead of making it on their own merits as a good filmmaker, good photographer, good relationship builder. They're out here cozying up to other vendors like, hey, like, I really like you. Don't you really like me? Let's buy drinks. Let's have a coffee. I'm not taking away from the validity of it. You do get bookings when you do that. So go
Hmm.
for it. Problem is, if that vendor all of a sudden decides they don't like you or they like somebody better, your leads are gone. And that can be a planner, another photographer. It can be like a florist. I don't know, whoever's in the booking process before a videographer, which is everybody. And so I don't like to leave it up to chance. The way that I'm introduced to more brides is by crushing it for my brides.
Hmm.
Nobody else. I happen to be a cool person. I happen to love to have fun. That happens to translate to vendors. And again, we did. So for context, I probably should introduce myself a little bit outside of your introduction, we did 280K cash collected, not value of bookings, cash collected last year without running an advertisement. Not
That's
a
awesome.
single dollar spent on advertisement in 2024. So you're
That's
asking me
awesome.
about, thank you, man. Yeah, you're asking me about organic marketing is really the core of it. But for me, I don't look at it as necessarily marketing. I look at it as like, how can I serve my brides so that literally last week on Saturday, while I was at a vendor show, Andrea and Jaden, Andrea reached out to me. She sent me a screenshot. She's like, this reel is still blowing up and it has like 400K views, which for you and Jake is nothing. But for my bride, and I don't do it for the popularity contest. I don't care about 999 of those people. I care about the one bride who was like, wow, this video is still delivering to me 4 years later. Can you imagine when I get my second testimonial from her in 20 more years from her children and they say, wow, we grew up watching that video and I can't believe how much they used to love each other. What the heck, man? Just kidding. They're going to love each other forever. They're beautiful people. But on the same token, it's like Charlie Munger is who I got that from. Nate, do you know who Charlie Munger is?
I don't. And when you see me writing, this is just me taking notes right now. I'm not just like,
No.
I have no idea.
You look great with a
Who's
pen
Charlie
in
Munger?
your hand. So
Hey, thank you.
I'm honored that you would take notes on anything I would say because I started learning from you and Jake. So as a reminder to the audience, this futon, this couch behind me, Haley and I sat on it in 2020, like at the end of 2020. We're like, how do we
Wedding
make a
Video
living?
Pro.
We watched Wedding Video Pro on this exact couch. So
Watched young Jacob Weisler, who's not here today, but he sends his best wishes.
we don't need Jake. I'm here. You listen up. Cody P's in the house.
Cody P.
Look at Nate because he's beautiful, but listen to Cody.
For real though, listen to Cody.
Thanks, man. I'm just BSing. But okay, where the heck was I going with that? What was the question? I'm so
Let's
sorry.
see. You were sitting on the couch. What were you saying
For
before
that.
you? Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger.
You know who Warren Buffett is?
Yeah.
Charlie Munger was Warren Buffett's partner. He was an equal 50.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. The name was ringing a bell. I couldn't put the face to it though.
Yeah, he died at 99 years old or 90
Yeah.
years old at a $90 billion net worth. So maybe somebody worth listening to. His motto at the beginning of Charlie's Almanac, he has his own book. It's comprised of all of his speeches and stuff. One of his mottos is, the best way to get more work, the best way to get more work is to do the work that's on your plate.
I like that. And do it well.
Do it well. Our favorite
Yeah.
planner this year is retiring. She planned my wedding. I cannot tell you how sad it makes me that she's going to be gone.
No.
But I can't tell you how happy it makes me that I don't rely on her for my leads. I know.
Yeah. No, I was about to say that's a hot take you got there. And I probably won't tell you what we're doing on a day-to-day basis because you actually might throw up. You won't be dry heaving. You'll just be actually puking.
I had a couple of beers. I won't throw up.
Yeah. What
If I
was
do, it's
what
for a
was
different
the
reason.
what was the number? Are you 3 IPAs in? Is that what you're in right now?
Yep, just finished my
4?
third. About to crack
Going on the
fourth.
fourth?
Ready? Can't handle four IPA. Cody.
Dude, no, I think you flow better with it. I love where this is going. No, I love your approach and I see the beauty of it. We always try to preach two things can be true. Two things can be true at once. You can invest in planners, you can invest in relationships and trying to get them in your corner. But we also do still have quite a bit of leads that come just organically from brides, like from couples. And when that happens, it's great. Usually it's not quite at the budget we're looking at. Just the way we've kind of settled things. The
Fair.
planners we've networked with, they have that base price we like to work at, and couples are just kind of fishing around. But wherever we can, from Papa Kirk's episode a couple weeks ago, he said something. He said, "If I can make it work, I'm going to make it work." And so that's kind of our our mindset going into those where it's like, hey, maybe they don't have the budget. Maybe we just send one of us. Maybe we hire out an associate team. But yeah, two things can be true at once is what we like to say. But we just like to preach how we do it, but totally open to other ways. And I think you've definitely figured it out because you said 280 last year, and
Cash
then
collected, not value of
cash
bookings.
collected.
Honeybook shows you your value of bookings. Honeybook is like, hooray, you booked 100K this year.
Yeah,
But really, you've taken
yeah,
like 20K in down payments or something like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
those people are all lying. Never listen to them.
yeah.
I'm just messing around. I'm just being an IPA Cody. But here's what I'll add to what you're saying, because it's not that I disagree. Obviously, I'm just trying to make it entertaining, because our
love it.
referrals come from everywhere. When I say organic marketing, it's actually referral marketing in a lot of ways. When they see how happy one of our brides is, well, they're more willing to set up a call to facilitate the sales process that we talked through last time.
Right.
But it's also photographers, it's also venues, it's also planners, it's also just literal friends who knew me from the world, even though less because I have a humble beginning and a lot of my friends are already married. But yeah, they come from everywhere. And the more of those that you can facilitate through being a good person and delivering a good service, you're going to do. At the vendor show, it was actually Sunday. I misquoted myself earlier, but on Sunday, we saw our first corporate client ever. 2021 is when we launched. Thank you. Yeah, cool.
Look at that.
And here's how it panned out. We launched our business 2021, filed the LLC, all the paperwork stuff. And our first actual client was a salon who does like cancer patient hair implant type of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting demographic. At the vendor show this weekend, guess whose video was on their 90-inch TV?
Still yours 4 years later.
From all of those years ago. And I had no clue what I was doing. And now we work weddings together. We kind of both have pivoted. But yeah,
That's wild.
Doing good work. And you can't believe it. When I talk to the assistant, here's a sales pro tip. Professional tip is you're always wanting to look for the decision maker and anybody who can block your sale. So make sure you always have the groom on, or the planner, or the mom, or whatever. And in this case, we were sent to the assistant. She was the one who was looking for referrals, because I actually shot her wedding in 2018 or 17. It's not in our current portfolio, but she says she watches it more than she looks at her photos. So did okay back then.
Wow.
Wedding Video Pro, there's the shout out right there. And I was literally listening to it on the dash of my Buick 2003 Park Ave on the way to this wedding.
Just getting prepped for it.
I'd do the drunk walk, bump into each other.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. But the fact that, where is I going with it? That they're still using it all these years later. I talked to the assistant and she was like, there's no way they're going to do a $500 video. She can't. You're not going to do $500. I was like, hey, just let me talk to her and let's see what does work. And they ended up signing like a $3,200 package, which we worked our tail off for. It was like an 8 video package, but they're still using it 4 years later. Measure twice, cut once. It's the sale process at work right there. So anyway, derailed a little bit there, but you do good work and it lasts a long time is the point.
Well, no, I was about to say, we also have an experience similar to that as well, of just doing good work and seeing what happens. So we filmed a wedding. Let's see, we actually posted a YouTube video about it. We did like a love story before their actual day. So we lit up this living room all cinematically, and they did like this cute little interview, posted on YouTube, and it did really well, and people really liked it. We filmed this couple's wedding, did good work, as good as we could do. We were personable and, just ourselves, and we delivered it. They loved it. And that bride, so it turns out that bride's mom owns like a real estate company, like a really social media oriented company that does real estate. And so a couple months, probably 6 months after delivering their wedding, they come to us and say, hey, we loved you guys so much filming our wedding. Do you do real estate? And we're like, yeah, like real estate's pretty simple. We can do this. And so they said, great, like here's like our budget for every month. And it was like a pretty decent budget. And we're like, dang, okay. Like that's the value of doing good work, being a pleasure to work with, and maintaining those relationships. So a point to you, that's something that came from a bride, not like a planner or anything like that. That was just someone who knew us, said, hey, let's work together outside of the wedding space.
That's a really interesting addition to what we're talking about here. And another thing is too, I don't want to say that everybody has to film only weddings for their whole life, just because
Right.
that's what I do. I mean, on one hand, when you guys were talking with Dylan Simpson, it was like
Mm,
uh, weddings were originally his pivot point into quote unquote being a filmmaker.
right.
But on the other hand, I have found a lot of fulfillment in weddings where it's like, and this has been able to transfer to our team. I was talking with James a little bit ago, and it's like, man, when you do the gallery reveals and you see their reactions and you see how much of an impact you can make by telling this love story.
Mm.
One thing that I've been able to really cultivate, I'll pivot just a little bit. Is that okay to pivot here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. If not, blame it on IPAs, whatever you want to do. Because I was talking with James, he's here, he's waving in the background a little bit, but um, literally, I just like love my team so much, and even more, I love what we do, and when they can help us facilitate that, is where I see so much power in being able to provide. Because then you can get referrals from more brides when you shoot more weddings, and then everybody's fed, everybody's doing good, and when I was mentioning it earlier, 20 years later, we get a testimonial from a bride's daughter that she grew up with the film. It's like, what really is filmmaking? Do you need to make Severance in order to make an impact? Do you need to do the next Game of Thrones? Or what about somebody who watches it once a year at a minimum? Our brides like sneak off in the bathroom in the break room at work, and they're like, "Oh my god, wow! I see something new every time I watch this." And bringing on people who have that same mindset of service to others. When you remove yourself from the equation, that's a lot of our marketing. Is you're like, how do you get bride referrals? Well, my social media features me a little bit at the weddings, but rarely is the camera actually turned on me, despite whatever personality may be my theoretical advantage. It's actually when we can make them look good, when the
Mm.
brides are super excited to share something that we made and it elevates their status within the friend group. You know, if you're looking at it from a luxury standpoint, they always want more status. Well, how good can you make them look? How heroic is that groom? What did he have to overcome to make that wedding happen? Now, this is the sales process, but guess what? That's also the editing process. It's all a big system, man, where it's like, dang, they're going to watch back on this and that groom is going to feel like the man every single time. And that bride is going to be feel cared for every single time. And when you have people in the field who actually care about it, now you're serving more people. So, all right, side tangent. I don't know if that was relevant, but
No, that was going to lead into a question I had for you actually. So when you said that line, the groom had to overcome this to marry the girl, right? That's part of the sales process, but also part of the editing process, you said. Um, that kind of like made me think like I wouldn't think that's part of the sales process. Like I don't really like talk about that on sales calls or anything like that. Like I don't talk about like the story of the groom overcoming something, marrying the girl. So I just want to know like what do your sales calls generally look like in 2025? Like assume I'm a groom hopping on a call with you, just shooting the breeze, trying to see if we're a good fit. Where does it start? Do I know your prices first off?
no, rarely. The only time I would tell somebody prices is if I want to disqualify them.
Mm.
Disqualify meaning, should I even waste my time on this call? Is it worth it for both of us to have this conversation? Then maybe
So
I'll
do you
send
have
my
do you have
price.
starting prices on your website just to disqualify people?
Nope, none of it. It's reputation alone. If they know that they
Mm.
want memories and they've seen our stuff, okay, good enough. Let's hop on a call. Um, I
How
don't
do you know
know.
you're not wasting time? Like, what if it's like a $1,500 wedding,
Oh,
and
that's
they
gonna
come to you like,
depend. going to depend on where you're at with your business ultimately.
Okay.
I can't necessarily prescribe that you should or shouldn't take every call. If you're young and you need bookings, hey man, hop on every single one. Go listen to our last
It's true.
pod on repeat, take notes. One of my current students in capture and close is what we're called. He took
I like
7 pages of notes from our last pod, Nate. So your handwriting is flattering, but he's out here studying.
it.
And so maybe go. I would point them in that direction if you want to learn the discovery half of things. But whether or not they know that our prices is relevant, but only
Okay.
to the extent of like, can you convey the value of a memory to them? Because I don't
Yeah.
necessarily appeal to strictly a fashion crowd,
Mm.
a luxury crowd. I'm not that guy. Shout out Emma Kay or Ray Roman or even you guys. Maybe that's not necessarily my demographic. I focus on memories. But if you can raise somebody's social status through a video and you want to do the luxury thing and associate them with all the different brands that are going to be compiling their wedding, whether it's like a luxury planner, a luxury photographer, now all of a
Mhm.
sudden they are elevating their status. Well, you got to find out what's important and you got to do it through that sales call. Because I notice like every time I send a PDF of pricing, that's just when the conversation is essentially over. But when you can find out what it is that they truly value, and you have the confidence to deliver what they truly value, well then price is just a barrier to make it happen. And
Mhm.
that exchange of value is what allows for you to put your full self into it when they give you the money to do so. So kind of a roundabout way of asking your question, but I just don't want people to get misled into thinking like I shouldn't take every call, because we've had like a $1,500 bride upsell to like a 20, 30, just over 3K. We've like doubled that price and stuff like that. And that can happen at
Mm.
any price bracket or whatever.
Mm. Mhm.
And with our method of running teams and stuff like that, also, I'm not just selling for me and Haley. I have to make sure that everybody else can get paid.
Yeah.
One of the things, pivoting topic again slightly, I just don't want to repeat too much from last time, but
I like it.
there was a huge, when it comes to running teams, man, in our first year, there was a multi-million-dollar wedding company. So Sublime was scraps compared to maybe those guys, right? Were a tenth of what they were doing until they shut their doors, until they closed their business. I'm going to call them out. Glosser Images, look it up. Bismarck, North Dakota. They have $1 million lawsuit against Jack Glasser. Damn, I don't want
Oh
my name.
man.
And
Man.
it's dude, that happened the year we started our company, like in 2021. We shot 3 gigs for them. Guess who didn't get paid? Us.
You didn't get paid for any of them?
No, dude, didn't get paid for. And they were all across like South Dakota, North Dakota. We traveled a lot too for them. And
Oh,
because we crushed it so hard, one of those brides came back and paid us full price, though.
you're kidding me.
Dude,
On top of what she already paid?
Stephanie, thank you so much for like caring about your wedding video and trusting us to build it for you, which we did do. But I don't want to derail the entire conversation. We were able to see a company and what they did that did not work. And you've seen this
Mm.
more than once, I'm sure. If you saw, do you know Petite Four Films?
Yep.
And what was
Same
the
thing.
other one?
Tolman.
Tallman, dude, bit the
How can we
dust.
forget? Oh yeah.
And
Yep, they
so
all come down.
don't get tricked into building a team where it's like, okay, I've learned the sales process. Now I'm going to go book as many weddings as I can and just make empty promises. Our business is like a full system, a full experience where it's like, hey, we're going to promise this level of result and we'll bend over backwards to make it happen for you. And that's going to make you more powerful in sales as well when you
Yeah.
can promise it genuinely. So, and this was our first year, man. You have no idea how scared we were. We needed that $8,000 from those 3 weddings. We needed
Right.
it, Nate, to pay my bills, dude.
I feel you.
They didn't hook it up. And so, I don't know. I just never ever want to be like that. And us growing our team has been a lot more intentional. I pivoted
So-
so many different places.
No, I like it. So when you say you're growing your team intentional, I was gonna ask what's kind of the end goal? Like, let's say 10 years down the road, like 20 years, like what does your ideal day look like? The reason I'm asking this is because right now I'm reading a book. It's called Company of One.
Mm.
And the whole thesis of it is kind of not contrary to what you're saying, but the author is just saying, we've been taught that we need to expand, we need to grow, grow a big team and this and that. But when you do that, overhead goes up, you're paying people, you're managing, and your time actually ends up going down. And it's because people can't get to this point where they're actually happy. And so they just chase and keep building and growing, but they never actually get their time. They might have money, but they don't have their time. And so he talks about what's wrong with being a company of one, growing it to, you set the number. Let's say you want to make 100, 200, 300, $1 million a year. And then just saying, I'm good because I want to stay here because I want to wake up and I want to go surfing in the morning. I want to go eat, go out on a walk with my family and just keep doing what I'm doing and stay here. I'm not worried about growth. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are. What's the end point with growing your team? Where does it ultimately lead to for Sublime Exposures?
Is that plant in your background real?
No.
Okay.
That is a fake plant. And if you're tying that into the answer, I'm very impressed.
Thank you. So this plant in my background is real.
Okay.
And
Expose
there's
me.
a principle of nature. Here's the thing, man. Your author is probably more accomplished than I am. So take or leave my advice. I'm not just going to come up with hot takes for views. I always want integrity in everything I do. So take it with a grain of salt. This is just what I believe.
I mean, it's all a facade, right? I mean, they wrote a book. So what? Like, we all have things to teach. Teach
your
me.
Facade is a beautiful one. Whatever. you got something going on.
That's the IPA talking.
I would say regardless. It'd probably be worse if I didn't have a little inhibition from some booze. Here's the thing, man. There's two ways to look at it. One, if you're not growing, you're dying. Is kind of how plants work. They have to have a new sprout to get more sun, to grow taller. Eventually, maybe that tree or whatever finds a spot that's good enough, but something is going to come along and assume the soil next to it, unless there's a gardener, unless there's somebody facilitating it deliberately. So even to find a specific spot that you want to stop your growth, you're just like, no, I'm done growing. Fuck it. I'm good. Well, it still has to be cultivated and kept. And the thing is, the market is going to change whether you do or not. So how many years of stagnance are you allotted? I don't know. You can ask Tom from MySpace. He sold it for $500 million and went surfing. So maybe that's good enough. For me, my freedom has come more from getting my weekends back, trusting our team to shoot, trusting our team to edit. And my last point is like, dude, when we were in Florida, I was in Florida for the last week for the audience. Not that anybody cares. I'm ridiculously sunburnt. I'm in a lot of pain. So much pain. I'm from the Midwest. There's not much sun up here. And man, I was like, okay, let's have another IPA and let's go out to eat again and let's go sit in the sun some more. And those were all fun and it was good to decompress and enjoy myself. But you know how much fulfillment You know how much fulfillment I had on Thursday when I had my group call with my students and I was like, you booked another one? Let's go. When I can see somebody else's growth on top of my own and it's like, yes, what we're saying is working. I don't know, man. I had a much deeper fulfillment than I did from some Mai Tai.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. Some people, I think of the Hormozis of the world. They find their joy in work. They find the joy in the things that they're doing day to day. And if you can build a lifestyle around that, more power to you, right? If your ideal day is waking up and editing, edit, right? If this is what truly brings you joy, then keep doing it. I'll never forget. Again, it was a Hormozy thing, and I don't even follow the guy that much, but he's impossible not to see on social media. He had this clip where he just said, like, why do I need a hobby? And everyone's like, well, it's like it makes you happy and it gets you out of the house and things like that. And he's just like, well, I don't like that. I like doing what I do. I like my work. That brings me my joy. And they're like, well, no, you have to have a hobby. It's like, why? And no one can answer. And that's just kind of like what I think of. So if you actually find joy and fulfillment, so like in your case with those coach calls and building the business and the team that you are, that's the end goal right there.
And I'm happy as is. And can you wait until there's a little Cody P until my wife gives birth? And this dude
When's the
is,
due date?
it's in September, man. It's shortly after our wedding
Okay.
anniversary.
Okay.
Dude, he's going to be so funny. He might not be handsome, but he will be funny, Nate.
Oh, he's gonna be handsome. Are you kidding me?
And I don't know, man. I know that there's another step in my life, and maybe I'll change my tune in an hour. My feet aren't stuck in the sand in any direction, but this is what I've found through reflection, through asking myself, why do I do what I do? Is video actually important? Is wedding video actually important? What is the long-term effects of it? There's a thing in sales called, well, it's just human psychology, called consistency bias. And actually, I just framed against it where I was like, I'm allowed to change my mind. If I have a kid, my feet aren't stuck in the sand. Thing is, a lot of people are like, I identify as a liberal. Oh, geez, I'm not going to get political. It's okay. So, but now everything that they do has to go along with the belief of
Align
who
with
they
that.
are.
Right.
Right. And I identify as a coffee drinker. Well, now you have to be a snob at every coffee shop. And
Yep.
it's the number one person you have to sell is yourself. And that's
Right.
going to take some deep reflection. Why do you do what you do? What is the long-term effect? Can you measure it? Is there any proof of concept of where you're headed? We have 3 out of 200 couples who have gotten a divorce. And it pains me that there's 3 of them. I hate that. Because when they have consistency bias, when they listen back to their vows, when they say, I will be a great husband, I will be a great wife, we will raise a great family, and they listen back to this and they hear themselves, which listening back to yourself actually doubles that consistency bias. So in my mind, it's like, I understand sales. I understand why people make decisions that they make. How is this not helping their marriage? When we have 3 out of 200, that's like a 99% marriage success rate. That is so much better than the 50% average. That's almost double. And like, why does marriage success even matter? Like, nihilists. We're just in a world, everybody's going to die, everything's sad. I don't know. I also love America. And I think that the youth are going through an unprecedented time where technology, like the easiest way to entertain your child is to give him an iPad. And I may be guilty of this someday. I hope not. But if you can strengthen your relationship in such a way that helps you be a better husband, wife, which helps you be a better father, mother, which helps you raise a better child who's going to help others. Dude, Jesus didn't take days off, man. It was about his purpose. And he showed up every single day. And this is coming from a non-Christian man, but, well, at least not like hardcore Christian guy anyways. And the values are there. So what is your purpose? What are you really fighting for? And can you assemble others, or are you going to get there alone? Can you really just do it all alone? Or are you stronger as a team? I don't know, man.
So let's say I'm a team of one and I want to build a team. I'm filmmaker, I'm editor, I'm PR, social media, I'm everything. What would you recommend as the first hire? Who would you hire first if you were in my scenario?
Hey, such a good question. Thank you, Nate. Really, it's whatever I'm just going to prescribe an answer here. Typically, I would ask more questions, but I'm going to offer something more broad. Really, for me, being the sales guy, I literally just like message with our brides and call our brides and do the sales. I'm so slow at editing, it's so much smarter for me to outsource it. Our brides would be waiting forever if I didn't. It serves them better for me to hire an editor. What are you weak at? What are the things that you know you're not good at? And it's okay. It's okay to have a weakness. There's a guitar player, Steve Vai. Dude, he's an OG. He's got a song called Fear of God, I think it's called, or something like that. Or it's along those lines. And he's a very beautiful instrumentalist. It's not sacrilegious or anything, so don't be offended. Nate, I still love you. But he said, guess what I do? Why am I one of the greatest guitar players? Why do people put me on the front of magazines? Because I only do what I'm good at. I just forget all the other stuff. I don't even fret over my weaknesses. I just do the thing that I know that I can do. And you, if you're the best shooter, if you're the best editor, if you're the best at sales, whatever it is, might be wise to find somebody who can fill in those slots. Maybe somebody, my wife, dude, my wife is goated. I'll remind everybody, Haley's the goat. I had her on a scheduling call with a DJ earlier who's having us for a corporate gig. He DJ'd our wedding. I owe him infinite favors. But she was able to just pick dates, put them on the calendar, tell us what's realistic. Whereas I'm like a big dreamer. I'm like, oh, let's do this and this and this. But I don't know when. I'm not sure when. What is your weakness? Dear viewer of The Rundown, what is your weakness? Is there somebody who can help you with that? James, you're in now. I'm tagging you in. James joined the team for a
Welcome, James.
James
Howdy.
is a team shooter. James, why did you want to shoot weddings in teams instead of by yourself?
Ooh, that's a fantastic question. It's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming to do it by yourself, but it's also very rewarding to be together with the whole team. So,
What about the moments you can capture on your own versus with two shooters even?
yeah, I mean, when you're by yourself, you're gonna miss some stuff, and I mean, you can try your best, you really can, but
No matter how good you are, something's going to fall through the cracks.
100%.
Right.
Sorry, microphone. But it's like,
No, it's all right.
and what part are you the strongest at? What part do you want to focus on?
The bride and the groom, you know.
How good are you with a
Strong
camera?
shooter.
I think I'm pretty decent, but
I'm
I'm not gonna.
I think
I'm
I'm
not gonna
good.
be like I'm fantastic, but like, I'll let you decide.
But that's the strength.
But that's the thing that you're good at. That's where your time would be best allotted. Is like you want to go shoot on the weekends and enjoy yourself. That's what we've talked about before. Am I still on track? Is this still accurate?
100%. And Cody very much like embodies like this. Yeah, time to talk you up, man.
Hype
but
him up.
yeah, no, it's been really fun to work with him the last few months here because he brings about like I mentioned earlier, he's very passionate about everything he's doing and to come in and it leadership trickles down to everyone else. So to be a part of something to be a part of his overall vision is really exciting, I think. So yeah, no, I'm really excited because I just want to be the best at creating and being part of what he is doing too. And yeah, so I think it's a good thing, you know.
Boom.
Yeah.
Before we
Absolutely.
turn this into gassing up Cody, I'll kind of take it back. Thank you so much for your input,
I
man.
love it. Thank you, James.
And I want to be very clear to anybody who is aiming to be a leader of a company or something like that. My goal is not it's not the Cody show or something along those lines. It's everything that we've talked about so far. It's like how long can you make these memories last? What is somebody's strength that fills in your weakness? What is your strength where you can help somebody else out? James could easily do his own thing. He's such a talented, charismatic person even. But it's like, if you're fighting for something that's truly worth it, maybe you should assemble some people and we can all get together and do it. So,
Yeah.
did I derail
No,
that again?
No. I really like it. And thank you, James, by the way. Thank you.
Of course.
Um,
Of course. Let's go.
Long-time FTF member, by the way.
FTF, let's go. I did want to ask you a little bit about the team dynamic, if you're cool if I dip into that for a sec.
That's great.
So Jake and I, obviously, we're a team. And with what we're doing, we've noticed that a lot of people are husband and wife duos. You know, you got Larev, you got KEJ, you know, you have people who team up because they can take 100% of the profit. Like if Larev sends off a 30K wedding or 40K, whatever the number is, they pay their shooters, but then they pretty much keep everything else. You know, whereas me and Jake, like we have to book big numbers because we had to split up between ourselves, pay other people, other shooters, and we obviously have other means like education and YouTube that other people don't, but that's how we make up for other things. But I think a lot of people have a bit of hesitancy to create, and maybe I'm putting words into people's mouth here, but I think some people have a hesitancy to create a business with their spouse.
Mm.
Okay. And so I wanted to ask you, because my fear, and my wife and I have talked about this, how would it work and how does it work, I guess, splitting work and family? Like, do you have a hard cutoff, or does it all kind of blend together? Is it a day to day? How do you manage that time and completely separate those two things?
That's such a great question, and you're kind of knocking me off of my script here. So let's do the real answer for Nate, and for anybody else who may be going through something similar. I'm only going to speak from my own experience, and I'm not going to prescribe what you should or shouldn't do.
For sure.
But what my experience is, first off, I had to learn dating. I was a popular kid in school. I had a lot of friends, but I never had a girlfriend. And so I kind of felt like, and I was always entertaining. I've always been who I am, who you're talking with today. And I just couldn't understand, why couldn't I get a girlfriend? I promise this ties back into what we're talking about. And in order for me to overcome that, the one thing that I got really good at was setting expectations.
Okay. I like that.
And that's setting expectations is sales as well. It's like, what are you in for? What are you looking for? Here's what we promise you. And then leading up to the wedding day, here's where we're going to be and when. Now you're making an itinerary. An itinerary is just setting expectations. You can set expectations all you want, but there's also going to be emergent gameplay, as they call it in like sandbox games. They give you all these puzzle pieces and now you make something happen. Grand Theft Auto is largely that way, and why it's so replayable, or Minecraft. Right. And largely, I mean, that's what a real relationship is, and why I won't prescribe what an individual should do. But Haley and I were together for 3 years, almost 4, before we realized that we might work together in business. And I noticed that I was really good at finding opportunities. Mm-hmm. But I was really bad at organizing those opportunities and actually fulfilling on a deadline type of thing. But we've also been able to set pretty clear expectations as to who's going to do what. And now we can each play to our strengths. I'm repeating myself a little bit here. You're asking about a work-life balance. Well, that also goes back to, if I'm hardcore entrepreneur Cody right now, I'm like, work-life balance is going to come in 10 more years. I don't care about work-life balance. And the reason that I can answer it that way is, again, because of the passion behind what I do. Like, when I enjoy going to weddings every weekend, then I don't feel as though I have to balance it.
Yeah, you're not really working.
Right. But is there something in specific that you may be wanting to balance, Nate? Or can you hone me in a little bit further on that question?
No, I think I really like setting expectations, and I think that's really important. My wife and I, we don't work together in Runaway Vows. She does her own thing. She's a creative brain. But yeah, I've always wondered that, because it seems like there are a lot of pros. There are a lot of pros and cons to both sides. Maybe not a lot. But I've always wondered, like, what if something happens in business? Because Jake and I, we have tough conversations all the time. Like, sometimes we just aren't seeing eye to eye on something. And so I wonder, like, if this is my wife and we're disagreeing about something big in business, I can't see myself just flipping a switch at 5:00 and being like, hey, you want to watch Netflix? Let's go, like, have fun. Like, I can't see myself doing that. And so I've always wondered about that dynamic.
Another thing that I had to get very good at in dating was accepting rejection. I've been rejected 1,000 times, and now I've got a wife and a kid on the way who I run a business with. And also, going back to what my grandpa taught me, we're kind of calling back to Grandpa Mike at his funeral in March. He taught me that it's the same thing. If you have to be hiding something, it's probably not the best thing to be doing. And one thing that Haley and I practice is not just radical transparency in and around the world, but even more so with each other. Her and I are the hardest on each other than anybody could ever be. And guess what? It makes us better. And so that raises our entire baseline. So yeah, we might be mad at each other for an hour or two, but we're going to find the truth of a matter. We're going to find the real best answer. And that's my philosophy as a leader as well, where it's like, I'm a rebel by nature. Look at me. I'm a rebel by nature, Nate.
Growing out the hair.
I'm growing out my hair, despite what the haters say. And I don't want to be told what to do. I worked at a kitchen job where there was 2 managers, and one manager was telling the other manager the thing that I did wrong, and then that manager literally turned to his left and told me what this manager just said in my other ear.
That's wild.
And I was like, I know what kind of leader I never want to be. And instead, I'm also okay to be a follower. I've spent more on coaching programs than anybody else I know. We spent like 50, 60 grand just since Sublime started, let alone anything that I learned before that to learn dating or to get into entrepreneur and sales. And I'm okay taking leadership when somebody else has the best answer. But how do you find that best answer? Sometimes it takes conflict. You got to set expectations like, hey, we're going to get to the bottom of this. It might suck. We might have to take a break.
Yeah.
And we keep it between each other. As far as relationships go, one piece on that, we never talk down about each other to somebody else. If we ever have a problem, we bring it to one another. Because who's going to help you? Nobody. My wedding vows were literally my actual wedding vows. This is not like I wrote this down and I swore this. And so my consistency bias will kick in until we die. Is I vow to receive your criticisms of me as a calling to become a better man. When my wedding video comes out, you'll hear that. We haven't had time to edit our own film.
You're editing yourself.
Yeah, nobody can do it better. Come on. Who do you think?
Hey, you're right. Haley's got it. The
Despite,
goat.
I know you guys have the best editing houses, but personal touch.
Personal touch, baby.
And another part of that vow is like anybody who tries to put a wedge between us is the one who will be wedged out. And so we have vowed that our partnership is the strongest one, and that any that interfere are the one that will be wedged out. And we can allow ourselves to have extremely honest conversations. So
yeah, you were dropping bars in your vows. Those are bangers right there.
yeah, man,
I like those.
I only want to say what I mean, and I put a lot of thought into those.
I like that. Okay, I wrote those down. So you set expectations, clear expectations. You radical transparency. Don't talk bad about each other to others. Those are kind of like 3 pillars.
Boom. And along with radical transparency, just for clarity as a repeat, would be the truth is the best answer. And if you feel like the truth isn't the best answer, are you doing something nefarious? Check yourself. Check your own intentions.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say these pillars stand even for non-husband-wife duos. Like these are things that Jake and I have to practice. Like seems like monthly we're just redefining roles. Hey, these are expectations that need to be met. Here's what Jake does. Here's what Nate does. Here's what other Nate on our team does. Here's what Tanner does. We're always revisiting those things. And so I guess if you are just a company of one, if you're yourself, you got to be really, really honest with yourself about, hey, this is what I need to do every single day. This is what I need to do to be happy, to push my business forward. And if I'm being completely honest, when I got done with college, that was a hard thing for me because college was a schedule, clear expectations. There were deadlines given to me by other people, said you need to do this by this time, and if you don't, this is what happens. When I graduated, all of a sudden I'm in the world and no one's really keeping tabs. Well, I guess full-time filmmaker Parker was, but if you don't meet your expectations, you get fired. A little different from college. But when you're doing your own business, no one is asking you. No one's saying, hey, did you do your expectations? You got to do that yourself. And so that's definitely a pillar that stands regardless, I'd say, of any team dynamic. So I really like that you pointed that one out. Radical transparency. And then the other side of that coin was just truth is best, right? Don't try to hide something. If you're doing it, it's
Shout out
probably not
Grandpa
good
Mike.
if you have to hide it. Shout out Grandpa Mike. Radical transparency. There's no use in hiding anything in a business. The more time you spend trying to cover something up, the more you're gonna have to dig it up and waste time and resources, money, and it hurts your business. So just rip it off like a band-aid. That's, I believe, where that quote, "It's just business," probably comes from. It's just business. It happens. It's not personal. Just be transparent, and then don't talk bad about each other. My mom actually
Unless
told
it's
me,
Jake
like,
Wise.
unless it's Jake, and this is a great chance because Jake's not here, so we can talk.
We're gonna get him. I'm sorry. What did your mom?
No, I was just saying, growing up, my mom's just an angel, and she just taught me that, like, if you don't want people to talk bad about you, which nobody really does. I know there's some tough guys out there who are like, I don't care what people say about me, but we all kind of do, you know. If you don't want people to talk bad about you behind your back, the only thing you have to do is don't talk bad about people behind their backs. And I didn't really recognize the wisdom being that young, but the more I've grown up, every single person, you know, there's some people in your life, everybody can point to those people who you can't say something bad about them if you tried, and you've never heard anyone talk bad about them ever. And they all have this characteristic where they don't talk bad about other people as well. And so I really, really resonated with that last pillar as well. And I think it applies to relationships and family and friends, and especially business, because those things, those things come back to bite you if you go against them.
I have one caveat to add to that, just for sheer conversation.
Please.
On Sunday at the vendor show, we had a sister of a bride recommend Sublime. They were
Sister of a bride recommends
standing
Sublime.
at the table across from us, and she was like looking at me, and I was like, "Yo, you want to talk?" And I kind of pulled them away from the other vendor. But the reason why is because she said, "Hey, we've actually already had a Zoom call before." I was like, "Okay." And she's gone through.
You're like, "Oh yeah, hey."
Well, they know we're busy. It's kind of our reputation.
Right.
I set that expectation.
Right. Yeah.
But again, I put my whole heart into those. And she said, "You had told me not to go with this other company because I'm going to get a bad video. But I went with that other company, and I could have done the video myself. And it wasn't necessarily my priority, so I'm not too sad about it. But you really should talk with my sister. Hey, Jamie, come over here." And she pulled her sister off of this other vendor to come talk with us. So, and I did. I specifically mentioned another company's name, and I said, "Don't go with them." I'm not going to do it here on a podcast. It doesn't serve anybody. But that I was looking out for the best interest of the bride, which is who I serve. And if somebody else out there is going to do a subpar to bad job at the thing that I say that I can do, well, then that's a little bit different. Then I will illustrate what can go wrong if you choose somebody who's not Sublime. But again, I'm never like, "Oh, the person who runs that company is a fat, silly head." I would never say something like that because I'm a fat, silly head. But
Aren't we all? We all are.
But I am looking out for the best interests of the people who support me, which is our brides. So I will illustrate bad companies sometimes too, without completely talking shit.
Yeah, well, it goes back to your selling point. You were talking about how you want to sell people on memory, right? You want to sell them on the idea of building a memory, and that's through video. And so, you very easy in this scenario, just say, "Hey, they probably won't do it as good as we will. Kabam, here's my elevator pitch." And I wouldn't say that's necessarily talking bad about someone, unless you're really like digging in, like they suck, they have this and that, this and that.
Did you ever watch the Tiger King documentary?
I watched, I think, 2-3 episodes, and then it kind of lost me. I just lost interest.
Oh, I was gripped clear until the end. But man, that's all that entire show is low class people all putting each other down.
Oh yeah.
And then flipping their stance on something and completely changing their pitch, and it's like, wow, I know who I don't want to be. So
yeah, I mean, it makes for entertaining reality TV, that's for sure.
But they're all in jail, so that's not how you run your business.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to be like Tiger King.
Don't be Tiger King.
Don't. That's the episode title. Don't be. How to not be Tiger King.
Tiger King. Don't be Carol Baskins.
Yeah, for real. Well, dude, I think this has been a really good conversation. Biggest thing that I'm taking away. So last time when we talked, we just talked all about your sales, okay? And this time it's been about, I'd say probably your team building dynamics, where Sublime Exposures is moving, and I've really enjoyed seeing kind of like behind the curtains of the way you're building your team, especially prepping for a +1 to your family here. It's kind of fun to see that little switch and how your mindset is so honed in.
Yeah.
Do you feel like having a kid has changed the perspective? Like, dang, I gotta kick it in high.
A little bit. I have been more efficient and effective in my day to day, but we've been aiming for a kid the whole time. We just wanted to wait until the time was right. The time that was right is when we have a business that can sustain itself and a team that can help us run it. And so we're there, and now I feel like that is essentially what is allowing for our true freedom, is when people can fill in slots and then do other things when they're not needed and be here as a part of it when they are needed. So it's been a part of the plan all along. I'd be lying to you if I said it felt real. Like, even if she came and dropped a baby in my arms right now, I'd still just be like, yep, I'm on a pod. It's all good. I don't know, man. I have no idea what that's going to be like, but I will say that something that did light a little fire underneath me, but there's no way it doesn't feel real yet, man.
Yeah. No, you're gonna be a great dad. Papa Cody. You're gonna be a good dad. Can't wait for September.
Papa P, thank you so much.
Papa P. Well, Cody, is there anything you want to say to the audience? I guess there are a lot of new listeners here, so tell them where to find you. You can tell them about your coaching program. You can tell them all about yourself. Any plugs, anything you're selling, anything you got, give it to them.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity and the last one. Because of the last one, I had a lot of people reach out, want to learn sales. I launched an Instagram page, but Nate, right at the beginning of this, you even said, you're like, despite you not being a huge social media guy, all the people from the world knew who you were. They met you in real life. They've had real conversations with you, and they know who you are. So that's honestly the best way to get a hold of me, is to actually have a conversation. If you want to check out a page that I started, never did anything with, but it is going to be growing. I have a new editor. It's on the up and up. We do have students. Capture and Close Academy.
Capture and Close Academy.
That's the Instagram page, and thank you for the platform. Okay. It's largely going to be sales focused and editing systems focused. How can you get upsells before the wedding to increase that LTV like Starbucks does? What about after the wedding? Are you ever going to book that bride for anything ever again? Or does all your profit just go to the team? There's a lot of ways that you can increase the value of your business to the point where one day it could become a saleable asset. When you have systems, one day you'll be able to sell your business if you choose, or if you just love it enough, you can stay in it forever, which tentatively is my plan. But Capture and Close Academy, if you want to check out our podcast from last time and get to know anything that I've talked about a little bit better, learn more about sales. Sales is the engine of your business. When you hop on a discovery call, you're learning what that bride wants. When you deliver what that bride wants, and you over-deliver what that bride wants, she's going to send you her friends. You don't have to live off of planner scraps when they send you. Sorry, Nate, I'm just talking BS. I know that's what your whole thing is. But anyways, check out Capture and Close Academy. I had a lot of filmmakers follow Sublime Exposures, our wedding film page, but that's mostly for our bride. So you can check it out if you want, but you're not going to see any coaching advice on there.
Okay. Capture and Close Academy.
Boom. It's the one. It'll be more live.
That's where you'll find Cody P. That's where you'll find him. Capture and Close. I believe last time, I don't know. I don't remember. I think last time I asked you, in a year from now, what are we going to be celebrating? And it sounds like we're going to be celebrating in September, the +1. But when we're thinking about next April, is there anything you're super excited about?
Legitimately, my efforts are going to be going towards this coaching company.
Okay.
And I want to be clear about it. when many coaches begin their coaching company, it's so that they can get out of weddings as soon as possible. A lot of them aren't even successful wedding filmmakers. They just need extra income. So they're like, I'll be a coach. Am I on to something? You know, that's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, it's going to be growing both in tandem, and I want to grow them separately. And I hate to just be like, yes, my business is my life. But dude, when you see their bookings come in, when you see the brides reveal, dude, I don't know what's a better high than that feeling, man. So I'm sorry to give you a somewhat expected
No, I love
answer.
it. You're just going all in.
I love what I do, and I'm all in on it. And by the time you see me next year, both will have grown, and that's just what I'm looking forward to. I'll have a kid. Woohoo! Isn't that cool?
And you'll be a father.
But it won't be talking by then. It'll just be a lot of poop. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I hope next year we'll be able to bring you back onto the show again because people love it.
I hope I've brought some value today, and I hope we can do the same again. Thanks, Nate.
Absolutely. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Cody Pettengill, Sublime Exposures, Capture and Close Academy. You know where to find him. Thank you for coming on the show, Cody.
This has been The Rundown.